Welcome to Understanding Service Instances. Today we will learn what service instances are and why they matter. A service instance is your personal copy of a cloud service, ready for your use. For example, creating a service instance for SAP HANA Cloud gives you your own dedicated database to store and manage data. Understanding this is your first step to effectively utilizing SAP BTP's capabilities. We will use simple analogies to make concepts clear. This means we will compare technical ideas to everyday things you already understand. For instance, think of a service instance like a rental car. You request a specific model and get your own private vehicle to use. This approach will help you quickly grasp how services work in SAP BTP. By the end, you will know when and how to create service instances. This means understanding the right scenario and steps to provision a cloud service. For example, creating an instance of the SAP HANA Cloud service when your application needs a database. Mastering this ensures you can effectively activate and use BTP services for your solutions. No prior BTP experience needed. We start from the beginning. This means we will build your knowledge step by step from the ground up. For instance, think of it like learning to drive. We begin with basic controls before hitting the road. You will gain confidence as we explore each concept together. A service instance is a provisioned cloud resource. A service instance is the actual running version of a service. This means it is the active, usable copy created from a service plan. For example, creating a PostgreSQL database with specific storage is a service instance. It is this live resource that your applications connect to and use. Think of it like a ready-to-use copy of a service for your applications. This means you get a personal, configured version of a service to integrate into your app. For example, create a service instance of the SAP HANA Cloud database to store your application's data. This instance is dedicated solely to your application's needs. It is what your apps connect to and use. This means your application code links directly to this service instance to access its capabilities, like a database or messaging system. For example, your app connects to a database service instance to store user data. This direct connection is how your software leverages the service's functionality. Without instances, subscribed services cannot be used. This means that just subscribing to a service isn't enough. You must create a specific, usable copy of it. For example, subscribing to SAP HANA Cloud is like buying a gym membership. You still need to create your personal workout plan to actually use the facilities. Therefore, instances are essential for activating any service. Understanding service subscription versus service instance. Subscription is equal to getting access to use a service. This means you enroll to utilize a pre-built service managed by SAP, like enabling it for your account. For example, subscribing to the SAP HANA Cloud service allows your team to start building applications with it. This initial step makes the service available for your use. Instance is equal to the actual working copy you create. This means it is your personalized version of the service, set up with your specific configurations and ready to use. For example, subscribing to SAP HANA Cloud is like getting access. Creating an instance is building your own database there. This instance is your live, operational environment. You subscribe once, but can create multiple instances. This means purchasing access to a service one time, then deploying separate environments for different uses. For example, subscribe to SAP HANA Cloud once, then create separate instances for development, testing, and production. This approach efficiently manages resources while maintaining clear separation across your project stages. Like subscribing to a magazine versus having physical copies delivered. A subscription gives ongoing access, while an instance is your dedicated copy. For example, subscribing to a weather service versus creating your own weather station. This ensures you clearly grasp the difference between shared access and dedicated resources. Why create service instances? To make services available for your applications. This means you are activating a specific SAP BTP capability so your app can use it. For example, creating a service instance for the SAP HANA database lets your application store and retrieve data. By doing this, you enable your application to leverage powerful, ready-to-use cloud services directly. Different applications might need different service configurations. This means each app can have its own service settings tailored to its specific requirements. For example, a development app may use a low-tier database, while a production app needs a high-performance one. This flexibility ensures every application operates optimally with the resources it requires. You can create instances for development, testing, and production. This means you can set up separate, identical environments for building, verifying, and running your application. For example, developers build a feature in the development instance, testers check it in the testing instance, and users access the final version in production. This separation ensures stability and safety throughout the application lifecycle. Each instance runs independently. This means changes or problems in one service instance will not affect others. For example, a development team can test new features in their instance without disrupting the live production instance used by customers. This isolation ensures stability and controlled management across different environments. Real-world analogy, streaming service. Subscribing to a streaming service is equal to getting access. This means you pay for a plan to unlock and use the platform's features, like watching movies. For instance, selecting a Netflix plan grants you immediate entry to its entire library. Just as with SAP BTP, obtaining a subscription is your key to start utilizing the available services right away. Creating profiles is equal to creating service instances. This means setting up dedicated configurations for your services, similar to how streaming services create separate user profiles. For example, one profile for kids content and another for adults, each with different access and settings. This ensures each service instance is tailored to its specific purpose. Each profile has its own settings and watch history. This means every user gets a personalized space, like individual accounts on Netflix. For example, your recommendations are based solely on what you've watched, separate from others. This ensures a tailored and private experience for every user. Multiple profiles can exist under one subscription. This means one account can support several separate user spaces, each with its own settings. For example, a family Netflix subscription allows different members to have individual profiles under the main account. This structure enables personalized experiences while sharing a single service plan efficiently. Creating an instance in SAP BTP, a step-by-step overview. BTP sets up the service with your chosen configuration. This means the platform automatically provisions and prepares the service based on your specific settings. For example, when you create an SAP HANA Cloud instance, BTP allocates the exact memory and compute resources you selected. This automation ensures your service is ready for immediate use. The service becomes ready to accept connections. This means the service is now active and can communicate with other applications or users. For instance, after creating an SAP HANA Cloud instance, your analytics app can securely connect to query data. Now your solution is operational and ready for use. You get connection details for your applications. This means the system provides the specific URLs, credentials, and configuration settings your software needs to communicate with the new service. For example, creating a database instance gives your app the address and password to connect and store data. These details are essential for integrating and operating your solution. The instance appears in your BTP cockpit. This means your new service is now listed and ready for use in your accounts management console. For example, after creating an SAP HANA Cloud instance, you can immediately see and access it there. This visibility confirms your resource is active and manageable. Locating service instances within the BTP cockpit. Go to your sub-account in BTP cockpit. This means navigating to your dedicated workspace where your applications and services reside. For example, if you manage an e-commerce app, your sub-account is where all its backend services are configured. This step ensures you access the correct environment to locate your service instances. Navigate to Services, then Instances and Subscriptions. This means you go to the Services section in the BTP cockpit and select the option to view all your active service instances. For example, to check your SAP HANA Cloud instance, you would follow these steps. This is the standard way to locate and manage your services in the cockpit. See all your created instances in one place. This means the cockpit displays every service instance you have made, so you do not have to search different areas. For example, if you created instances for analytics and database services, you can view them together on a single screen. This centralized view simplifies management and oversight. Each instance shows its status and connection details. This means for every service you create, the cockpit displays if it is ready or has issues, plus the info needed to link your apps to it. For example, a database instance would show ready status and its connection URL. This visibility helps you manage and troubleshoot your services effectively. Service instances and your applications. Applications connect to service instances using credentials. This means your app needs a username and password or a key to securely access a specific BTP service, like a database. For example, your travel app uses credentials to connect to and query the destination service. This secure connection is fundamental for your application to function properly. Each instance can serve multiple applications. This means one service setup can support many different apps. For example, a single SAP HANA Cloud instance might handle both a sales dashboard and an inventory tracker. This approach efficiently shares resources across your solutions, saving time and costs. You can create separate instances for different environments. This means each stage, like development, testing, and production, gets its own isolated service copy. For instance, a developer can test new features in a development instance without affecting the live production application. This isolation ensures safe and controlled progression of your application changes. Changing one instance does not affect others. This means each service instance operates independently. For example, if you modify the database schema for your development environment, your production database remains completely unchanged. This isolation ensures your applications can evolve safely without unintended consequences across different environments. Common use cases for service instances. Database services for storing application data. This means using SAP BTP's managed databases to securely store and retrieve your application's information. For example, an e-commerce app would use this to save customer orders and product details. This approach ensures your data remains consistently available and properly managed. Authentication services for user management. This means using BTP to securely handle user logins and access control across applications. For example, a retail company could use this to let employees securely access both sales and inventory systems with one login. This ensures secure, centralized identity management across your business applications. Integration services for connecting systems. This means using BTP to securely link different applications and data sources. For example, connecting your SAP S/4HANA system to a third-party CRM to sync customer data automatically. This seamless connectivity ensures your business processes run smoothly across all platforms. Analytics services for reporting and dashboards. This means using SAP BTP tools to collect data and turn it into easy-to-read charts and scorecards. For example, a retail company can use it to create a live dashboard showing daily sales and inventory levels across all stores. This gives teams immediate insights to make faster, data-driven decisions. When do you need to create an instance? When you want to use a subscribed service in your application. This means activating a specific service, like SAP HANA Cloud, so your app can connect and utilize its capabilities. For example, to store customer data securely, you'd create an instance of the database service. This step is essential to integrate and operate the service within your solution. When you need different configurations for different purposes. This means creating separate instances when you require distinct settings for separate tasks. For example, you might have one instance for development with test data and another for production with live customer data. This approach keeps your environments organized and purpose-specific. When setting up separate development and production environments. This means creating isolated spaces for building and testing applications versus running them live for users. For example, developers can safely test new features in development without affecting the customer-facing production system. This separation ensures stability and prevents disruptions. When you want to isolate services for security or performance. This means separating your applications or data to prevent interference and protect sensitive information. For example, a bank runs its customer transactions on one instance and internal analytics on another, ensuring performance and security. This isolation is essential for maintaining robust and reliable operations. Key points to remember. Subscribe first, then create instances. This means you must purchase the SAP BTP service before you can set up and use any specific application or environment. For example, before running a business application, you first subscribe to the service, then create the instance to deploy it. This sequential process ensures your resources are properly allocated and ready for use. Instances are the working copies your apps use. Think of them as personal workspaces for your application, where it runs and processes data. For example, each developer testing an app gets their own instance to avoid conflicts. This ensures your application operates independently and securely in its own environment. You can create multiple instances from one subscription. This means one subscription lets you deploy several separate environments for different purposes. For example, a company could use one subscription to run separate development, testing, and production systems. This flexibility allows you to scale your applications efficiently without needing additional subscriptions. Instances appear in your BTP cockpit for management. This means any service you activate, like a database, becomes a manageable item listed in your account. For example, creating an SAP HANA Cloud service adds its instance to your cockpit for starting, stopping, or configuring. This central view simplifies overseeing all your active services. Ready to advance to the next step. Now you understand what service instances are. A service instance is your personal, active copy of a cloud service that you have configured for your specific needs. For instance, creating a service instance for the SAP HANA Cloud database gives you your own dedicated database to use. This is how you activate and personalize services in SAP BTP for your applications. Next, we will learn how to create them step by step. This means I will guide you through each specific action needed to build SAP BTP services yourself. For instance, you will follow along to set up your first trial account and deploy a simple application. This hands-on practice will build your confidence in using the platform effectively. You are building strong BTP administration foundations. This means you are learning to manage cloud accounts, set up security, and handle user access properly. For example, you can create sub-accounts for different departments, keeping their data separate and secure. These skills are essential for maintaining a stable and secure BTP environment. Great work getting through these concepts. You've successfully grasped key SAP BTP fundamentals, which is a solid foundation. For example, you now understand how to deploy a simple app to the cloud, like hosting a company event registration form. This knowledge prepares you perfectly for hands-on practice and building real solutions.